Hello and what is up, everyone? We are talking about 5 productivity hacks for the entrepreneur, plus a bonus one at the end if you stick around. So welcome to Rise, Reign, Rule. I am your host today, Rebecca, CEO of Rise, Reign, Rule, social media maven, and queen to my CEO king. After 7 years of coaching and developing women inside of corporate America to transitioning into full-time entrepreneurship, I have learned a lot. This is the uncensored version of entrepreneurship because there's a lot about it that they don't tell you, but I'm gonna tell you. So these productivity hacks are for you if you are a content creator, an entrepreneur, a coach, working full-time, working part-time, on the side, a mom, a stepmom, a dog mom, have a family, and want to read 50 some books a year like all the greats do, and yet still find time to do the courses that you need to complete, learn, create, and still put out valuable content and live your best life. Not overachievers at all. There is a disclaimer. I'm not the most disciplined person. These hacks have personally really helped me to simply work a little bit smarter. What I see on social, honestly, it seems like everybody's mornings look blissful. They start on a beach, they begin with meditation and this like magical elixir with tarot guided mantras. And let's be real here, that is not what my mornings look like. Here at Rise, Reign, Rule, we are raw and real. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in, commenting, and engaging on my Insta. Here are my top favorite comments that I received, and I am so honored to receive these comments because these are from some of my favorite, really productive, high-level creators, entrepreneurs, and coaches that I personally respect, so check them out. If you want to get featured on my Insta or YouTube, make sure to connect with me on Insta, DM, comment here on YouTube, because I'll be picking my favorite comments every week moving forward, and I'm really excited about that. Now off to the productivity hacks of how do I get all of this done. My first hack begins with going back to school, guys. I am not just a business owner, I'm a coach, content creator, stepmom, yogi, friend. Also, my man is the CEO, which comes with a whole other slew of dynamics. If I don't have my day, my first hour, beginning with a focused energy, if I begin with snoozing and laziness, I cannot get caught up through my whole day. And even if you're too cool for school, I want you to pretend like your mom is coming in, ripping off your blankets, pulling you out of your nice warm bed. My mom is Greek, so, well, we'll just leave it at that. We can't afford laziness when we're in this space of building and multitasking, and I honestly don't care who you are or what you do. If you are building this passion project, you cannot afford the laziness. It takes time and focus and complete dedication, from scheduling, time orchestration, to being methodical, to even feeding yourself. I know that feeding yourself or making sure that you're showered sounds super basic, but we are all in many ways like toddlers. And when our brain feels uncomfortable, everything starts to feel agitated. We begin to react, and honestly, these brains that we have are a little bit antiquated. The hardware is just a little bit out of date. So we have to constantly be working on this space. They lead us in the wrong directions all the time, because when I'm hangry, for example, I am completely useless and I get to be a little bit agitated. For me, I make sure that I have scheduled time to actually eat on my calendar. This way I don't snap at anybody in my journey of spinning all of these plates all at once, because we are constantly wearing different types of hats. On to my next hack. Step 2, create your morning routine. One of my biggest mistakes as a new entrepreneur was that I was trying to take on other people's routines and make them my own. For example, I would wake up at 5 in the morning, do a morning meditation, workout, and then I would grind for like 12 hours. Well, honestly, by the end of those 4 days, I was wiped out. I was spent. I couldn't function. I would feel sick. I almost had like the flu, if it would feel like. I'd be laid out in bed for like 2 days straight just to reset myself. And honestly, it just didn't work for me. Why? Because I was trying to mimic other people's routines. Now I get up at like 6 a.m. I get clear on my day. I focus on what keeps me grounded and energized in my morning and in my first hour. Sometimes that is writing a note to my lover. Sometimes that is me not talking to anybody. And sometimes that's something in the middle. I thrive when I'm grounded and I'm feeling relaxed and I feel like, okay, I had some time to myself. When I get up and I jolt out of bed, my heart's racing, my blood pressure is up, and you guys know what I'm talking about. It simply doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve anybody. And it's so hard to get out of that space. So the rule here is that there are no rules. Just let it speak to you. And don't spend every single day trying to attain something that other people are doing just because you think that's supposed to work. You are more likely to stick to rituals and routines that make you feel like you're feeding your soul. And whatever you choose, just keep it consistent. Just because it's the weekend doesn't mean that everything gets to fly out the window. Comment below if you guys have a morning routine and share it with me, because that would be helpful. Step 3, get moving. Like to move it. So this is a hack that I have to have in terms of structure. And I admittedly am not a very structured person, and I kind of take that from the creative side of me. I'm very creative and I really like to flow. Sometimes decision fatigue gets in the way, and it's a very real thing for me. When you're making hundreds and thousands of decisions before your first project gets started, you are just wiped. So when I go to the gym and I exercise out some of this energy, it shifts me in a different way. I really appreciate this hack because in many ways, when I go to the gym, I prove to myself that I can do something that I ordinarily thought that I just couldn't do. For example, like a pull-up. Failure is real, and failure in entrepreneurship is really real. And I'm sorry that I said it, but when you get moving in regards of failure, you begin to experience out a shift a little bit faster out of the disappointment of failure. And every time that gets shorter, that is your gold. By the way, if you're a high achiever and you really want to get clear on your goals, check out this video where I break down some of my goals, what I do to make these goals, and how I execute them. Make sure you check it out. Next step, stay middle accountable. Who knew that being a middle child would be so good? This one's a little bit weird, and it actually has nothing to do with being a middle child. I read this book, Emotional Intelligence, and I'll tag it below. But I found in the very beginning of my journey into business 7 years ago, I would get on these really, really high highs and then these really, really low lows. And I couldn't figure out this like in-betweenness. And honestly, that hurt me way more than it helped me. I couldn't get out of these pits like quickly. And the sooner that I realized that staying in the middle actually increased my happiness factor, I thrived. My stress was a lot less, and I was able to rewire my brain. And to be honest with you, these ways of our brain, we create these like super highways of reactions and emotions that our brains begin to auto adapt in this space. And before you know it, you're living by default and not design. And last time I checked, the whole purpose of being an entrepreneur was to live by design, baby. So stay in the middle and stay level. My next step, release expectations that everybody else has on you. This honestly should be my number one, but I waited till here because you can't get here until you get these other hacks that I had just said earlier in this video. When you release everybody else's expectations all over you, your life automatically elevates. From the job that they think that you should have, to the place that they think you should live, to where you should show up, the people that you spend time with. It's a whole bunch of shoulds. And let's face it, sometimes it's more important that you spend time with you. Sometimes that's a glass of wine, sometimes that's a bath, sometimes that's a really nice pedicure. But whatever it is, when you're able to focus on you and invest in you, you then are able to get into this zone where you're unstoppable. It's extreme productivity. And you know what I'm talking about, because this is where we live our lives by design. This is where you're turning long-term life success into that space. Enjoy the process. This is your bonus one, and this one I have to thank at freaking Bob's. He actually created the music intro and has a band called Legends, so go check him out on Instagram. He is definitely one to follow. But enjoying the process is something I strongly believe that was a big part of my productivity has been around. I appreciate the journey more. It's not really about the end point. It's about the whole experience. And honestly, I really thought that YouTube would be a whole lot easier than it really is. I thought I could Snapchat it or Instagram it and just be like rolling into it. And it is difficult. It's kind of like marriage. It's like a continued courting effort. It's not just about the dating. It's not about the death. It is about the celebration of little wins. Especially now being a creator, I'm online and looking at YouTube or studying things almost constantly. And if I'm not focused and aware of my time in this process or in this journey, I will lose everything that I really truly value, like my family and my yoga time and my really deep connection with my king. I'm not doing this for chasing views. I am doing this for chasing impact. And I value deep connections, which is why my DMs on my Instagram and my comments here mean a lot to me. I love more than anything connecting with like-minded people who are very driven and are striving to grow in their lives in a very enriched way. Anyway, I really hope that these helped you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm really excited for our next video, which centers around taking the steps to quit your day job and go full-time into a space of entrepreneurship. So make sure you tune in. Thanks so much.